Hello, folks. We're back at it once more with our birthday countdown tracker, our birthday tracker. And in this video, what we're going to do is put one last touch on this program. And the purpose of this is to show you a nested function that returns a value. So the idea here is that some of the things we work with, we want to be able to create what are called helper functions, or functions that no other parts of the program are going to see, but only one function will see. So it's like a little mini program inside of it that we can pass in a parameter to, and it gives us back a value. It gives us back a a returned value. So we have the program as it exists. We have our dictionary up top here. We have our get days until b day, passes in a name. We made these edits last time where we changed people names, so we access the dictionary with that name. So all we have to do is pass it a name. We report the days left by getting the days until b day using that name parameter, and we assign it a variable called numDays. And then we wrote out our if-else statements here with regards to returning a value based upon if the days remaining is positive, negative, or 0. Okay. So, and then we ran our for loop here that goes through each name in the dictionary and prints off that how many days left. So running it once again, we see that we have everyone's birthday printed out and the number of days left until their birthday. Okay. And those dates are being derived from two places. The dictionary is the source, and then we use date time to calculate today's date. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is create a function that will help us to calculate the age of the person here. So not only will our program tell us how many days until their birthday, but how old they'll be on that birthday. Now, with regards to structure of the program, could we all right, so one question is, what's the logic going to be, and where do we write it? So the logic, I think, is going to be that we'll use date time, and we already have the year that they were born, the month and the date they were born, right? So we already have that information. We can use that. And what can we use it to do? We can use it to calculate how old they'll be on their next birthday. So we can do it as, we can, if we operate just in the same year, we could say how old they will be for, how old they turned this year. But I think but then we have to deal with the fact that we have the negative birthdays and the positive, negative days until the birthday and then positive days until the birthday. I like to keep things as simple as I can. And what our program is concerned with is not telling what happened in the past, but what's telling in the future, right? So we have a countdown for how long until their next birthday is, so it makes sense to make the function we're going to write deal with how old are they going to be when they turn that age or when that date comes around. So I think that makes sense. So we can deal with that. We can deal with the fact that their birthday already happened. We can add 1 to that year, and we can tell how old they would be in the future. Okay, so I think that's the logic. The next part is, where do we rate this thing? All right, and so the logic side of it is more the computer science side of, okay, figuring out the algorithm that we need to make this thing work. Okay, and the programming side is looking at this and saying, okay, I want to keep my program nice, neat, and organized. Think about like you're outlining an essay, and you don't want your stuff overlapping or being put in the wrong place, right? So you want to make sure it's nice and neat. So we already have a function that deals with the get days until b day that we can make larger if we wanted to, but there's no harm in making more functions. You're not slowing the computer down by making more functions, all right? And so there's no harm in keeping our program organized by splitting up the tasks that we ask it to do, okay? Calculating age is different than getting days until b day. Okay, those are two different goals, two different functions, two different returned values. And so we can only return one value here. So we don't want to bloat this function with additional stuff we don't need. Let's create a new function. Okay, and we can do it down the bottom here. Let's do define report all birthday. I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna a couple of lines down here. So above define birthday, report all birthdays. I'm gonna make some space up here because report all birthdays, we can tap into that at the end to report out their age as well too. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not gonna touch this right now. And the first thing we're going to do is let's define that function that we're going to need to basically calculate their age. And so one thing we're going to know is that we're going to split it up just the same way as we did above here. We had a function that simply calculated the get days until b-day, and then we had another function that reported the days back to the user. So we're going to follow the same structure, I think, here. And we'll do define, report, person, age, turning. So we'll make it very specific. Okay, and we'll format the same way. We'll pass in a name, and we'll get our result at the end. Now, like I said, the logic here is going to be get the number of days until their b-day, right? And we can tell if they have already are they turning an age this year, or did they already turn that age, right? Did their birthday happen in the past or in the future? Because those two or today, because those two things are going to matter, right? If it's if their birthday is less than 0, right? Meaning that if their birthday is today or in the future, they're going to be turning their age +1. And otherwise, they've already turned that, okay? And we'd have to do a bit of calculation with that as well, too. So we have to have an if-else statement inside here. In order to get those number of days, we can do num days equals get days until b-day. So we can use that same function we used above. It's telling us that we need to pass in a name. And here we can do people, brackets, name. Okay. All right, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here so you can see. That's good size. Okay. Actually, make it a little bit bigger. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Okay. So, all right, yeah. So report age turning num days equals that. So we can access this because this is a global function, this calculation of get days until b-day. So the whole program can see that, and it's still going to return to us an integer value of the difference in days. Okay. All right, next up. We're going to organize this slightly differently. And up here, we set up two different functions, get days until b-day and report days left. Here, we're going to write a separate function that's going to be define, calculate, person, age, turning. And we'll pass in a name like above. The difference here is that what we're going to write is what's called a helper function. A helper function, and this is going to be a /local function. Okay, and this function is only going to be used inside the report person age turning. So the rest of the program will not be able to see this calculate person age turning because we don't really need it. We just need to know how old they're going to be and then report that out. The reason why we didn't do it above here, why didn't we make this a nested function, is because we're actually using this in two different functions inside of our program. So we're going to make that global so we can use it inside the report days left and inside this report person age turning. So we're going to need it both places, so make it global. This define calc age turning, we indent it, so it's technically inside this person age turning. You can see it there. And here we're actually going to go and write a function here that's going to return a value, but it's only going to happen inside this report person age turning. Okay. If num days is less than 0. Okay. Here we can say if num days is less than 0, we can say if the birthday happened in the past, we can return. All right. So here's another thing we have to do. So we want to be able to minus the current year minus the year that they were born, right? So if they were born in 2000, we basically take 2020 minus 2000 and we get 20 as a result, and they're 20 years old. So here we want to be able to access the year variable. And the problem here is that we defined year, YR, inside of get days until b-day. Functions are one-way mirrors. They can see out into the global program, but nothing can see inside of them. So the rest of the program has no idea these variables were written inside of this function. They have no idea they're there. So we have no way of accessing them. That's a problem because we're going to need to access them to be able to get those values. So the easiest solution is actually to highlight now, year, month, and day, highlight all 4 lines. And what we're going to do with those lines is actually move them up. So you can just probably copy and paste this. I'm just going to cut it. Okay. Actually, I'll highlight get today too as well. Cut that all out. And I'm just going to put it above the define get days until V-Day function name. So I'm going to put it up here. Okay. I'm going to make sure it's on the main program, back out all these spaces. Okay. And now year, month, and day are accessible to the entire program because we've now globally scoped them. And we can say that above, get today as global variables. Okay. And that way we can access them everywhere. All right. And actually at the top of the program here, I might even put global variables. Okay. All right. So yeah, now everything can access these 4 variables inside of our program. Okay. That solves this first problem. Now we can go back down to here, return num days. If num days is less than 0, we can return. Now we can access year. So we can do YR minus people. Then we pass in the name. Okay. And then we get the year key inside of the name of the person inside of people. So we basically go people, name, year. So we get each of these things as we go down. And this is going to return the current year minus the year they were born. So let's take a look. We have to add this out. So let's do calculate. Actually, all right. So what to do this, let's see if I can, all right. We'll actually solve another problem here too, so we can see this thing print out. Down in the define report all birthdays, I'm going to add something here that says call age turning or report age turning. And let's do print report person age turning, and we'll pass in name. Okay. Now if we run it, what's it saying? Hashable, unhashable dictionary. What did we do here? Year, people, name. Oh, you know what? This was not called. So we'll have to go down to the next line here. We'll handle if num days is less than 0. We defined it, but we never called it. So let's just have a new variable called age. And this will equal calculate person age turning name. Okay. Still, it's telling us that. Let's see. Oh, because we didn't return anything here. This is no good. Okay, so in an effort not to confuse you, let's just assume this works. We'll write out the rest of the program, then we'll fix any bugs if we need to. We'll leave age equals calculate person age name. Make sure that's indented. We're still writing everything inside. Define report person age turning. Okay, and let's see. So current year is 2020. The person name. So let's take Jonah. Okay, so Jonah is year is 2000. He was born in December 19th. So December 19th, year 2000. In that case, he will be turning 20 this year. So that is correct, right? So 2020 minus 2000 should get us 20. That's if the number of days, if num days is less than 0, actually, though, let's see if there's somebody else. So somebody who has less than 0 days, We'll take either Tess or Adam. Here they turned. It's currently the May 18th, so they turned. They got a year older on May 7th and May 15th. So their birthdays are negative now, and so in the next birthday they have, right, in the next May, they will not be turning 2020 minus 2000 or 2003. They'll be turning that age. So, say if they turn 20 this year, on their next birthday, they're going to turn that amount plus 1. So down here, back in our function, if num days is less than 0, return year minus people plus 1. And that will handle the fact that they're getting older in the next year. And then else, literally every other case, meaning if the days, num days equals 0 or num days is a positive number, we could just return what our original program idea was year, people, name, year. Okay. So what we just done is we've made calculate person age equal to this number here or this number here. These will be integers when they come back. Okay, and then we define that value, right? Calculate age person to a local variable called age, and back in the main program. Okay, so we have two different programs inside of one another. We could see that here. Okay, so define. If I click on the little plus signs here to show you the scope, define person report age turning has everything inside of it. If yours doesn't do that, then you have an indent problem here. Make sure your indents are right. And inside here we have our if else statement. So define calculate person age. The only thing it's doing is checking this. Getting back a amount, a year, or how old they will be either this year or on their next birthday, which would be next year. Okay, let's return those results then. So right now, age in our program is equal to one of these two values. So then we can do, let's say, report results. So we're back in the main program. Make sure your indents match mine. And if num days, we're going to do like we did above, equals 0, we can return name.capitalize plus turns. Make sure your spaces are there. We add a plus. We do str. We make a string out of age because we can't combine strings and integers. Python complains. And today. So if the number of days, here we are using the number of days variable again, right? Similar to just like we did above here, right? We're going to write out these statements here, but except this time, instead of saying when their birthday is going to be, we're going to make it in a way that's readable by saying how old they're going to be. So turns that age today. Okay, that handled the first case. Let's see. We can say for the next case that is turning. Yeah, because it's always going to be in the future. It's just a matter of this year and next year. So we just have to do an else. We can do return name.capitalize to make it look nice plus space is turning space plus string age whoops plus I don't know, get out of there, get out of there. There we go. Is that right? There it goes. Okay, plus we'll just do a period. Okay. Well, that one's indented wrong. There we go. Okay. All right. So yeah, we have two cases. If number of days equals today, we'd say they're turning a certain age today. Otherwise, they're turning that age in the future. Okay. That should be it actually. For the calculation. Let's run it and see. No, we still get unhashable dictionary. All right, what's going on here? Let's take a look. Report all birthdays, report age turning, name. We passed that in, name. That's right. Okay. If num days equals that, age plus 1. That's all right. What line we got? We got online. All right, so it looks like Jonah's runs fine. Report age turning. So it looks like it's when it's calculating Jonah's how old they are. Report all birthdays. Yeah. Line 35. Birthday equals date, time, year, month. 35. Let's go up and see. Birthday equals date, time, date, year, which should be global. I can see that. People, month, people, name, day. Should be able to see both of that. Let's clear this out and see if we can't find that bug. Actually, it's here. So if we make this a little bit bigger, I can show you what I think is happening here. All right. So what it means by unhashable dictionary basically is we're trying to call on something that's not a dictionary. So, and this has to do with, I think, what we covered in the last video, which was the clarity of naming. So where do you access the dictionary? Do you access in the parameter of the function call? Meaning, do you access it here when you say get it until b-day people name? Do you access it here inside of the function? Like, where are you accessing that to get the name there? And the only thing that really matters is to be consistent with this. And here, when we access the name in people.name, we had changed this last time, but with this, basically up until this point, when we make those calls, we're saying people and then name. And we did it here, and we did it get days until b-day. We didn't do it there. Okay, so at that point, yeah, maybe it makes more sense to report age turning to not include it here. Let's just do name and see what happens there. Okay, all right, yeah, that clarified. Okay, yeah, so we access it inside of that function. We made that last time. That works just fine now. Okay, so there we go. Let's see. All right, so Jonah's birthday is in 215 days. Jonah's turning 20. Is that true? Year 2000. So yes, that is true. Tessa's birthday is in 362 days. Tessa will be turning 18. She would have turned 17 this year, so that's right. And then Adam's birthday is in 354 days. Same deal, 2000. Turning 8. Actually, where is Adam? Ooh, why is Adam missing? There it is. Adam's turning 21. I don't know why that didn't show up. Okay. Or why there's so many lines here. Report all birthdays. Let's bring this back. Okay, yeah, so this is all working just fine. I'm gonna... Oh, that was right. That's right. We made those spaces at the end there. All right, cool. Okay, so very good. So this is all working fine, and a simple function to help us just create a calculation of when this person's day is going to be. Our little hang-up was how we access the dictionary. But I wanted to show you this to clarify that this is a helper function. We wouldn't use this anywhere else, this calculation, besides to report the person's age turning. So why would we clutter our main program? This program is relatively short. It's only a little over 100 lines. But if you have 300 lines or 3,000 lines, you want to keep your stuff contained as much as you can inside or nested to keep it hidden. So remember, functions are one-way mirrors. They can see out into the main program, nothing can see in. Meaning that think of a helper function inside is like the room inside of a house. You know that the house exists because you can see the house, but you have no idea how many rooms are inside, what the arrangement is, what the rooms are called. You don't care because you just need to know if you're, say, delivering mail or something. You just need to know the house is there. You don't need to know like a layout of the house. So that's kind of like what this is. It's a room inside of a house. And this room even has one-way mirrors inside of it as well too. So you can get access through the parameter, like a door to the room. But you can't see into that room. You have no idea what's happening inside. All you know is what the function gives back to you at the end. In this case, a number. This program has no idea how this function gets that number. It does not care. Okay, all it cares about is it gets back to the number. You can use that number. You can assign it to be a variable, and you can use it inside your program to then return, again, results. Okay, so this is the structure of our program. This concludes the birthday tracker. We've implemented quite a bit. We've implemented the actual days until they turn the next age, how old they will be turning. And now we've seen how we can organize the program using return functions and nested functions inside one another. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.